Hello, this is Ali with Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I want to talk about why the people that trigger you are actually your best medicine. And in fact, why the people that trigger you are the best medicine on the planet. So, as in for the planet, for the healing of the planet. So before I start this, I want to preface it by saying this. The concepts I'm going to talk about in this video don't work both ways, okay? So I will explain this a little bit later as I continue to go, but before you get upset with me, I just want you to listen to the whole video, listen to everything that I'm going to say here. Know that you might get a little bit offended at some parts, but let me finish before you decide that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that, what I've been saying is offensive, okay? That's all I ask. So, I want to start this video by telling you a little story. So, there was one time I was getting a specific massage from a lady in Mexico where she would rub her thumbs along my body and find places where my nerves were overfiring. So what that meant was when she would press on these particular nerve sites in my body, so they were like all over my body, it would create a sensation of referral pain. So for instance, if she was like pressing on a nerve in the back of my head that was overfiring, it would send basically shooting pain all the way up over my head and around my ear. So she would get you to tell her when when she has pressed on a point that creates nerve pain and this referral pain, and she would say, okay, I'm going to stay here, keep my thumb on the nerve, and have you breathe through it until the referral pain stops. And essentially what she's saying is, like, as she's doing this, she's actually deactivating these nerves that overall are overfiring, causing inflammation and pain in my body just on a regular everyday basis. So by finding them and pressing on them, she's deactivating them and thus actually creating less pain in my body moving forward, okay? And so as you can imagine, this process is not exactly pleasant. It didn't feel good to have her press her thumb on all my nerves that were overfiring and then get to experience this awesome referral pain where, right, that nerve pain is running all over the body, and I just get to sit there and breathe until it kind of dissipates on its own. And she was saying to me as she was giving me this massage that she often has clients say to her, "Al, can you stop? You're hurting me. Like, I want you to stop. You're pressing on my nerves and you're hurting me." And she said, my reply to that is always, no, I'm not hurting you. This is pain inside of your body that I'm just finding. So she's basically saying, like, if this over stimulation of your nervous system was not already occurring inside your body, I could push on this all I wanted and there would be no pain, right? So she's saying, I'm not hurting you. Your body is in pain. I'm simply pointing out to you where that pain is and giving you the opportunity to remedy it, right? Because basically by her pressing on it, she's giving me the opportunity to breathe into it, to set my intention of deactivating that nervous impulse, and she's acting as a conduit for that healing to happen, right? But when she very first starts, it hurts, and it makes me feel like she's hurting me. But in the end, I realized, right, that pain existed inside of me. If those nerves weren't overfiring, she could press on that part of my body all she wanted and there would be no pain, right? There were other parts of my body that she pressed on all she wanted and it didn't hurt at all because there was no overfiring nerves. And that, to me, was like, that is the perfect explanation for what happens when we are triggered, right? We're triggered. It causes us pain, and it really looks and feels like it's this other person that's causing me pain, right? You triggered me. You made me feel bad. You made me feel powerless. You made me feel whatever, right? You made me feel annoyed. You made me feel all of these things that we say when we feel we are triggered by someone else, right? And what we want usually is for the world to adjust itself to not trigger us, right? We want there to be no line at the supermarket, right? So that we're not feeling rushed, or, we're not feeling left behind. We want our spouse to fix all their little things that they do that aren't exactly how we would want them to be. And we want our friends to never talk to us in a way that we don't like. And we want, we want people to never speak to us in a way that we don't like. We want to never have to read anything that we don't want. Like, we want everything to be catered to what makes us feel good about ourselves. And if anything makes us feel bad, right, we're triggered and we're mad at that person, or we're mad at that thing, or we're upset with that thing. We think they should have to change because they are causing me pain, right? But what that mindset actually does is create a victim out of you. You essentially take all of your own power away every single time you blame someone else for triggering you. Bar none, every time. Anytime you feel an emotional disturbance, a mental disturbance, something uncomfortable inside of your body, and inside of your mind and inside of your psyche, and you blame it on somebody else. They didn't say it to you the way you wanted them to say it. They were not communicating with you the way that you think they should communicate. They weren't paying attention to what you wanted or what you were feeling or what you thought or how you thought they should do things. This always comes down to something inside of you that needs to be looked at. And if you project it out, you essentially take all of your own power away. Okay? And when you do that, when you blame someone else and say they need to adjust their behavior, they need to adjust the way they talk to you, they need to adjust the way that they are in the world in order for me to be happy. You see what I'm saying? In order for me not to feel triggered, in order for me to feel safe, in order for me to feel better around this person, they need to change. You effectively take away all your power for ever feeling better, because the likelihood that that person is going to change is slim to none. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the likelihood of that person changing is, because you have no control over that person changing, right? Which means if that person decides not to change, you're stuck feeling miserable. That's what happens. That is the end of the day, bottom line, when you are triggered by someone in your environment and you say it's their fault and they need to change, no matter how justified you feel in that. They could be being an asshole, okay? So I'm going to get to this, right? They could be totally acting out of alignment with how they should be acting. They could be doing things that are completely and absolutely ridiculous and deplorable and in no way acceptable. But again, if you are relying upon their behavior to change in order for you to feel better, you have victimized yourself. And you are going to resent this person, and you're going to resent yourself, and you're going to keep getting in this triggering cycle over and over and over again. Because essentially, the only person that can change a victimized situation is the victim. Okay? And again, I really want you to listen to the whole video before you get mad at me on this. Okay? This is one of those shitty things about reality that we have not been facing and have thus been shooting ourselves in the foot as a society and as a global civilization. Okay? We believe that it is the victimizer's job to change before things can change. We believe the victim is the powerless person in the situation, and it is the victimizer's job to change before anything can get better. And so people are caught in this cycle where they are constantly feeling victimized, traumatized, triggered by people in their reality. And they are saying, I am the victim to this person's behavior, and I need them to change before I can be free and happy. Okay. This totally is understandable, because that's how it looks. Again, it really looks like this person is hurting me. It really looks like this person is triggering me. It really looks like this outside force is impeding upon my natural rights, it's impeding upon my personal freedoms, it's impeding upon my ability to feel good about myself, it's impeding upon what I would like to believe about myself in the world, whatever it is, right? And so when you're triggered, as awful as it could be, and so this is what I'm saying, this process of how to handle your trigger goes in phases, okay? So the first phase is to look in at yourself. That's always the first phase, because that's where your power is. So this, again, is not about taking blame for what someone else is doing. This is not about shaming yourself. This is not about saying, I was a victim to this person because I did something shitty and I'm a shitty person and it's my fault. It's not their fault for their bad behavior. It's my fault for being the victim. Not at all. That's not what we're saying. Okay, and I want you to be very, very careful in your psychology here, and especially be very, very careful in listening to what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. This is not about accepting blame for something that someone else did. Okay? When you look at yourself when you're triggered, all you're doing is saying, I'm not going to hand my power over to this person anymore. I'm not going to hand my power over to this person, my power to feel good about myself, my power to feel liberated, my power to feel free, my power to feel anything that I want to feel. I'm not going to hand it over to this person anymore. I'm taking my power back, right? So if they made me feel bad about myself, they made me feel wrong, they made me feel angry, they made me feel triggered in any way, I'm going to own that, because I don't like feeling bad. Okay, so that's the first thing. There's something inside of me that feels bad. So you look inside and you say, okay, am I giving this person, am I painting a picture here of something that is not actually happening? So sometimes we get triggered by people, like when they're telling us a truth we don't want to hear. Sometimes we get triggered by people when they do something different than we do it, and we think they're doing it wrong, right? Because we have all these ideas in our head of how things have to be, and they're not aligning with that reality. Sometimes we get triggered by these little things, or we get triggered by how someone speaks to us or by what someone says to us, and we have to start to look inside and say, okay, is this one of those situations where I'm getting triggered to grow, right? There's this pain inside of me where I'm resistant to letting myself feel good about myself, no matter what someone else thinks or believes of me. Is this something about, my rules and my decision about how life is supposed to be and this person isn't living up to it, that I need to relax, right? Is this a truth that this person is trying to explain to me or demonstrate to me? Is this a reflection of how reality is actually working and how I'm out of alignment with reality? And a lot of the time that's how it is, right? We get triggered by people, they make us feel bad about what we believe because we think that by believing something wrong, we're bad and wrong and stupid, instead of saying, okay, no, this person is just helping to show me where I have a blind spot and I can transcend this blind spot, right? They're triggering me by telling me that the things that I believe are true aren't true, and that's scary, and that's okay, but you do that work, right? So you always go inside first, all right? So a lot of the time, our triggers are that. It's people pointing at somewhere inside of us that's painful, right? We have a false belief. We have a false understanding. There's something going on inside of you that makes it so that when reality happens, you can't be okay with it, right? When truth is revealed to you, it hurts you or insults you. When someone is the way that they are, you can't be okay with that because it's triggering something in you. You see? There's a lot of that happens with triggering. So you need to say, okay, is my nerve firing pain inside of me that this person is just pressing on, right? And if that pain didn't exist, they could press it all they want and nothing would happen, right? So again, a lot of the time it boils down to this person is revealing something to me about myself or about reality that I don't want to look at. That's usually what it is, okay? Second type of trigger is when someone genuinely believes they have the right to stomp on another person's rights, to rule over someone, to subjugate somebody, to essentially, like I say, take rights that are not their own over somebody. So this is where we get the victimization mentality, okay? Sometimes you get triggered by people, And sometimes you get triggered by actions because genuinely the thing that they're doing is out of alignment with natural law. And it triggers you because you know somewhere inside of yourself that what they are doing is not right. Okay? Racism, sexism, government authority of any type, any kind, any subjugation, any unequal distribution of resources, any system that exists where there are some people that get more and some people that get less, some people that are respected more, some people that are respected less, any place where we see a person or a group of people taking away the rights of another group of people or person. The reason that triggers you is because you know that that's bullshit. Okay? So that's one of those triggers that it's painful inside of you because we are all connected as a society and you are seeing a misalignment. You are seeing that this is behavior, this is thought, this is something going on in the world that is out of alignment with the truth. Okay? Because the absolute fundamental bottom line, actual universal law truth is we all have the same rights. No one and nothing has the authority over anybody or anything else. We are sovereign beings, each one of us having natural born right to all the same stuff. Okay? And we don't live in that world because we have believed something that is not true. And this is what we need to understand about this. To believe in authority is to believe in something that isn't true. And both parties who allow this belief to go on, the people that believe that they have authority and the people that believe that that there are people who have the right to have authority over them, are both participating in the same bullshit. Okay? So, what I want to say is that this does not go both ways. The people who are being victimized by people who are stomping all over their rights and then being triggered, right? You get triggered by racism, you get triggered by injustice, you get triggered by this shit because it's wrong. But the victim did not create the victor, the victimizer, right? The victim did not create the victimizer, right? So if anyone tells you you are being victimized and it's your fault because you were the victim before the victimizer happened, that's fucking bullshit. That did not happen. Do not blame yourself for being in a victim place, okay? We cannot blame the victim. That is just ridiculous, okay? It does not go both ways. So that is not what I'm saying here. And I'm making that very clear because that is not what I'm saying. But it is the victim's job to change it. Because if we wait for the victimizer to change, nothing will ever change. And this is the bottom line fundamental truth of this, is that the victim holds all the power. This is the truth. Because the victim who's saying you do not have the right to stomp on me is in alignment with natural law. They have the truth on their side. You as the victim have truth on your side, and therefore you hold all the power. So when you are feeling triggered by someone victimizing you, it is your job to take the power back and say, fuck this. I did not create you, okay? It's not my fault that you victimized me. Nothing like that. But I have truth on my side. So where am I believing that you have the power to control me? Where am I believing that you have the power to make me feel like shit about myself? Where am I believing that you have authority? And how can I start to shift that belief inside myself, one person at a time, until eventually there's a bubble over and we do not stand for the injustice of victimizers anymore. You have truth on your side. And it's shitty that it's the victim's responsibility to change this. But you have all the power. They don't have the power because they don't have natural law on their side. There's no such thing as the right to rule over anybody. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down below. I'd love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, share. Find me on all the places down below, and I'll see you in the next video.